At the start of our business journey, it can feel like a really, really lonely path. We are the everything. We are the CEO. We are the marketing director. We're making the coffee. We're in charge of sales and everything else and in between. And it can feel really lonely, which is why I like to bring my go-to experts into the room so we can have a conversation. That way, you don't have to search for the answers and you just never know what golden nugget you might hear. If we've not met before, my name is Lindsay Burden and I'm an intuitive business coach and I inspire, motivate and guide ambitious women in business to create wildly successful businesses and a time-rich lifestyle. But enough about me. Today, I am super excited because I have Ciaran and Rachel McKenna of Woodhazel Consulting with me today. And we are going to be talking about sales and selling, aren't we?
Absolutely, Lindsay. Yeah, totally looking forward to it. Good afternoon to you anyway. How are you getting on?
I'm really good and I'm very excited because let's face it and let's be really, really honest. Nobody really, really likes selling. Or if you asked a room of people, I don't think many hands would go up and go, I love it. I love it. It's great. It's everything I enjoy doing. And certainly when we start our businesses, that's something that I don't think we're aware of or understand the importance of making selling what we do and that we have to sell, do we?
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. And you're 100% right. People have an idea of what they think selling's all about. And actually, that's probably where we start. We have a perception of what it is. And that's why we get scared because we kind of we all, for whatever reason, we always remember people, we all go, oh, I don't want to be a salesperson because you remember the sales that you didn't like rather
Yes.
than focusing on the selling that actually you do like, because there's plenty of people out there that you buy from without even realizing because they sell well. So sometimes when people have this perception of what selling's about, it's what we class as bad selling
Yeah.
rather than selling that works for you. So that's where we come from.
And that's another reason I really wanted to talk to you because you come at it from the same place as me. But before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about the business itself and how you got started this journey, Woodhazel Consulting? What is it that you really do when you're not talking to me?
Oh, well, we're not talking to you, which we would love to be doing all the time. We're helping people to sell and market themselves, really, and promote themselves. And it's a combination of the best jobs we ever did throughout our career. We have been around a while. Like we were part of the generation that in the late 80s that graduate recruits, and we didn't really know what we were going to do. And we got poached from Ireland over to the UK. I ended up in Crawley, and Rachel ended up in.
And Romford in Essex, that was my first landing.
And those were the days when they'd invest in you. They'd spend 2 years teaching you all the different things and all the jobs, trying to find out what you could and couldn't do. So it was like a finishing school. And I ended up in an electrical wholesaler in distribution, and you ended up
in financial services. So yeah, and I ended up again, as Ciaran said, it was a program where you spend 6 months in different places. And I started out in the admin to learn all about the products, all about the business, how it ran. And then I moved into London, the city centre, to actually sell the products. So it was all about life assurance and investment products and things like that. And then I moved from that into marketing because it just wasn't my bag. So I kind of moved into marketing, and I love marketing because for me, it was the heart of the business. And I'm naturally nosy and naturally curious. So I kind of liked understanding how the business works. And obviously in marketing, a lot of it is about people as well. So
and you liked working with the salespeople.
I love working with the salespeople because they were the ones, they are the front, they know what's happening out there in the world and stuff like that. And they are energy driven, and there are lots of, so you kind of have to be on your game with them. And that's where I love, is kind of where the business that kind of running at a million miles an hour, which I think is why for us working on ourselves now, we like that. We like the fact you have to wear lots of different hats. We like the fact that you have to react quickly and adapt. And that's something, I suppose, in the sales environment as well, you have to be able to do.
And so, meanwhile, I was one of those people who actually, I do like selling. I actually like people and I like helping people. So I quickly understood that I wasn't the greatest salesperson you'd ever meet in your life, but people liked me. They enjoyed my company and I was a little bit different. But I'm a very good judge of who can and who can't sell. And I actually believe that everyone can sell once they find something that they're passionate about and what they truly believe in. Because going back to the conversation that we originally were having when we were talking about this, we were saying, well, all these people say, oh, I don't like selling, or I don't like doing this, or I don't like doing that. And we'd say, well, what do you like? And they go, well, I love helping people and I love my customers and I want them to do the best. And myself and Rachel always turn, well, is that not selling then?
Yeah.
Uh, And so it's about focus and it's about reframing it around what you're comfortable with, really, isn't it? And so I think you're a brilliant salesperson, Lindsay, and yet you kind of say you're not.
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a bit like you. It's about, okay, so what's important here? What is it you want to do and what do you want to achieve? And I think when we can step away from the word, it's just the word. Get rid of selling. It's, I won't spoil anything because you might say this later on because I've heard you say it before. But I think what was really fascinating then when you were talking is how often do we hear, not so much for the small business owner who is wearing all of the hats, but when you've got bigger organizations and the sales department and the marketing department don't talk to each other at all.
Yeah.
And I think knowing that and understanding that really does help the solopreneur and the person that is wearing all the hats because you can really dovetail things really well.
And it's crucial. It's really
And the
important
great
to
thing,
work together.
and the great thing for the solopreneur or the small business owner is they control it.
Yeah.
They're in charge. They don't have to worry about, oh, what did the marketing department think of that? Or the sales director, oh, we won't like that. Or, oh, the MD, that'll never get past him or her. You are all those things.
It's so true. Now I want to go back because I always ask everyone to give me a title and for this conversation. And I think we've already alluded to it, but the reluctant salesperson, someone who doesn't believe they can sell or do sell. And you've already alluded to that, really, that we are all selling, aren't we, whether we like it or not. And it's about finding the way that we find as individuals easiest. Would that be right?
And so your big thing is focus, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you can actually focus on what you do like and what you are comfortable with, well, then that's not a bad place to start. Instead of thinking about, oh God, I'm not good at that, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. If you don't like the word selling, which is what we talked about earlier, why bother? Don't use it. Just focus around what you do like and what you do want to bring to it.
And I think that's the big thing, isn't it? It at the beginning of our journeys, we get hung up on selling. We tell ourselves we don't like selling. And then I just want to come back, Rachel, to your comment. You said, we don't like selling because we've been sold to. We've been sold to in a way that was really uncomfortable. And it's about giving ourselves permission to sell in a way that feels really great and authentic for ourselves, isn't it?
I think so. And I think if we think about how we like to be sold to, that's a really good place to start, rather than thinking about how I don't like being sold to. Let's start with how do I like being sold to, or how would I like to, to sell to my family? We often use that. People who you actually love or really care about, and you actually want to help them to actually maybe, to engage with your product or your service. But if you come at it from the point of view of how would I be attracted to that? What's the approach that works for me? Or how would I sell it to my friend down the road? I think that for a lot of people, if they suddenly think of it that way, they suddenly begin to get a little bit more comfortable with it, and they move away from this approach that, as we often say, is keeping them up at night, kind of thinking, I can't be like that. So start from A, how you want to be sold to, and B, how you would sell to somebody who you care about. How would you help them?
Do you think that we've all got into this I hate selling mode? Because the world has changed. And I was going to ask you, I mean, selling has changed, hasn't it? I mean, you've only got to go onto a social media platform and it's there by now. By now, it's your solution to everything. Your life's going to be so much better. Follow these 10 steps and be a millionaire by last Tuesday, which is my
Yeah.
favorite phrase at the moment. But we're bombarded with it. And do you think that has had an impact on particularly solopreneurs or those with small businesses? Do you think that's having an impact? Because now there are so many different ways, we don't even know where to start anymore.
Well, people seem to think they feel they want to be something that they aren't. So they want to portray this image of themselves. Oh, look at me, I'm this fantastic thing. But once people start to use you, if that's not what they're getting, there's an issue. So if you focus on you and what you're trying to do and how you're trying to deal with people, and you deal with people in a way that is professional, and you listen and you find out what they want, I actually don't think selling has changed at all. You're giving people what they want. Do you know? Because ultimately, that's when it comes down to it, what is selling? You're meeting in the middle. Someone wants to buy something, someone has something to sell, and you come to an agreement. It's how you get there.
Yeah.
And I think also, there are lots of different approaches that you can take because people are different. What you're offering is different. Your business approach might be different. So you have to recognize. So when you're being bartered on social media, well, you can go this approach, or you can go that approach. You can go the really, hard hitting cold calling. That's right for some businesses, and it might be right for some personalities. But there's plenty of other approaches that you can take that might actually lend itself to, because some business is more about relationship building.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go in and just sell the first product you can, and then you close the door because somebody feels, actually, I feel uncomfortable. I was kind of pushed into buying that.
Yeah.
That's fine if you're just going in to buy maybe, you're on holidays and you go to the markets and you're going to have a bit of a banter with the guys to buy that leather wallet or that leather bag. But if you're actually going out to promote your service and you're a professional expert and you need to build up that relationship, build up that trust, that's a different type of approach that you have to take. So I think a lot of it is, and that's why we always say you have to come back, to who you are, but also equally, what is your business about as well? And how do you want to show up, and who is your client, and what's the relationship you're going to have with that client? So yes, there's lots of styles out there, but actually that's the whole thing. What one works for you? Because there's lots of different approaches.
And that's a really strong message that I'm certainly hearing from you. And I hope that really reassures, listeners and watchers that they can do it in their own way, in a way that feels right for them. And they don't have to follow this formula or that formula. And I love the way you're saying, coming back to you, what's important to you, how you would like to be sold to, the type of business you have, the type of customer you have. I mean, that really feels powerful to me.
It does, but the other side of it as well is you have to be comfortable that some people may not want to buy. They may, and it's not always your fault. It could be that they have a previous relationship that they don't want to break, or that they actually price is everything and yours is a little bit more expensive, or what you have to offer just isn't what it is. But you'll always get feedback, and so that's why we say to people, sometimes some of the best things are when you lose an order. If you ask people, why didn't I win that, or what could I have done differently, and they go, well, actually, A, B, or C. And actually, although you didn't win the order that time, it will make things better for the next time you're in a similar situation. So we passionately believe that sometimes you have to be prepared that you will lose orders, or that it's not always going to be win-win, and it's how you accept defeat, or is it defeat? We actually say it's a learning, don't we?
It is a learning, and that's the benefit of, I suppose, a small business owner. And I always say, that you are sometimes wearing your sales hat, but invariably, if you're in front of a customer, don't forget you can be wearing a marketing hat as well. So you are getting up close to your customer and being able to ask those questions, and you're going to get that learning that you can bring back. And you're also sometimes you're trying new things out, so you mightn't have because sometimes it's about positioning of your message, and it might work really well with some customers, but it may not work as well. And it's okay to experiment. Like, we are huge fans of going out there and giving it a go, because because at least by giving it a go and being brave, there's an element of bravery in this as well. Just give it a go. And the worst that happens is you get learning. And what's wrong with that? Like, that to me is a win-win.
I think what you're saying to me is don't be afraid of a no.
Definitely, definitely.
And because you'll spend all your time thinking about things and not taking action. And it is so important. If people are getting all worked up about, oh, I need to be on this and I need to be doing that, you're spending an awful lot of time not doing what you are trying to do, which is to help your customer and to do what you are setting out to do. So therefore, take action, review it, see how you got on. Do you see what I'm saying? It's people will be finding that as an excuse not to do what they really want to be doing, and actually selling is the method of doing it. It's interaction. People buy from people.
Well, I was just going to say, because I always ask if there is, 3 points you want to get across. And lo and behold, point number one is people buy from people. You are the difference, is what you wrote. And I think that's an important point to make, isn't it?
Yeah, and so there could be people down the road who do similar things. And what's the difference? Lindsay or Rachel, Ciaran. It's what you can do that makes the difference. And it's not always price. People again assume, oh, I have to be the cheapest. Do you? You can be the cheapest and not get it there on time, or you can be the cheapest and not give people the experience that they were expecting. So it is about being the best combination of all those things. And that's why when you do a good job and when you do well, always try to get a referral, or always get a test, whereby people actually give you a review. We used to say the word testimonial, but I think it's much nicer to say a review. How did we do? And people are much more used to reviews now, be it TripAdvisor or stuff like that,
Yeah, I think the other thing is, when we talk about people buying from people, you have to remember you have to buy from yourself first. So you need to almost be comfortable that you believe in what you're selling.
Yeah, and that's your second point on here. And I think it's a really good time to drop into that, because you have it's a mindset. You have to believe in you and your business, and that you are good enough. And I think that's a really key thing. And I always, when I'm working with clients and we talk about pricing and we're going, okay, so where do you want to be? And they go, oh yeah, we need to be there, but I'm not ready. I go, okay, where can you sell at? Because if you cannot confidently sell at that price, you're never going to sell. And that's on the basis that they already believe in what they do. But you're so right. You have to have that belief, don't you, in what you do and the transformation or whatever it is that you're looking to achieve with your clients.
Because earlier on you asked us about, how did you end up doing what you're doing now? And so it's a combination of what both myself, the two jobs that myself and Rachel loved most. With Rachel loved being a marketing manager, and I loved being a sales manager, which was actually helping people to sell and market themselves and their business. So if we don't feel passionate about that when we're talking to you and to prospective people, well, who is?
And I think it's also, to reassure people, I think everybody lacks confidence at some stage.
I'm glad you said that, because I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah, because and I think we all have to work. I definitely have had to work, and I constantly have to work at it. And I think I'm fairly, most people do. We all have different elements of confidence, but what we always say is, and I know this from my own experience, where I feel confident is when I've actually gone and sort of had a mindset, kind of worked at, well, do I believe in what it is I'm trying to talk to people about? If I don't, what do I need to do to make myself comfortable in doing that? Because if I'm not passionate and believe in what it is I'm talking to people about, I'm not going to have that confidence to do it. I won't, and that'll come through. So that's why we come back to this thing of the mindset shift. By spending a little bit of time working on what it is you're actually talking, you know, what is good about you? What is your, and without using the word that personal brand, but you know, why do people buy you? Why do people, you know, want to, you know, listen to you? There's the, and what are you trying to talk? What are the key points you want to get across? And who are you trying to talk to? And if you can get all of that kind of comfortable in your head, and even, you know, that's why networking is really good, because you can practice on the kind of, let's say, even videoing and having a go at it. Nobody, you don't have to you know, push them out the button or anything, but you can practice all these things. You know, that's, if you can kind of practice that to give yourself that bit of confidence. And then with that bit of confidence, you get brave then to actually go out and start, as we say, experiment and start talking to people.
And do what we're doing here today, which is have a conversation. How does
I've been waiting. I've been waiting for you to say that, and I can't believe it's taken you this long, because I nearly said it earlier when I said I don't want to.
I know you're not. It's all about timing as well, Lindsay. It's much better when you're left waiting, purely because it is a conversation.
Yeah.
And how do conversations work? Well, if I just come in and I just go blah blah blah, I'm going to tell you. That's not a conversation. That's just me shouting, telling you what I think. It's You have to be prepared to listen.
Yeah, and I think that one of the great things about an easy thing I always think for people who are uncomfortable having a conversation is, if you can sort of think about the conversation is about you being interested in the other person. So don't think about yourself at all.
Yeah.
You're actually just put your full focus on the other person and just see how much can you find out about that person.
Yeah.
And it just takes you away from that inner head worrying about what's going on and how nervous you're feeling. If you kind of go, actually, I'm just focusing on the other person. If you can practice that, I can guarantee that will make it an awful lot easier for you.
Yeah, I so agree with you. I think the minute I stopped making it all about a sales conversation and just made it about a conversation, it helped. And I was grabbing my pen because I didn't want to forget. Do you think there is a benefit to having, you know, a process or a system? So I know one, and just to explain that, I know I was having great sales calls and not closing. And in part, it's kind of as I kind of left everyone hanging and went, that's great, let me know how you feel. And the change I made was going, shall we put another 15-minute appointment in the diary just so I can answer any other questions? So it still wasn't making it about the closing. It was just going, in case you've got any more questions. And by doing that, I absolutely shifted my conversion rate, because I just was leaving everyone hanging and I didn't know what to do and they didn't know what to do. So I was like, okay, I just need, and sometimes it's just tiny tweaks, isn't it, that we can make.
And going back to what Rachel said, it's trying different things. So you were using the word close, which again is another one of these sales words, and people, oh God, am I closing? I have to close. Don't get focused on closing. Just get focused on having a kind of a result from the end of the conversation. And it doesn't always have to be in order. It can be sometimes if you're meeting someone for the first time, if they're willing to meet you again, that's a result. So the facts are, it may not always come from the first time you meet them. You have to set yourself the goal of trying to say, well, if I do this, if I look at my diary and see, could we meet you then next week or whatever at 9 o'clock, rather than just seeing that you have to try and ask for an order each time, or you have to go through an exact process. Have a backup plan just in case that's not really appropriate, but always try to get some kind of minimum or find out that, no, I don't really want, you're not going to, it's not right. It might be right in 6 months' time. And then that's an example to say, oh, why would that be? Because we only really look at this every November. And you go, oh, well, actually, would you mind if I gave you a call then, or could we put a date in the diary now for that? And they go, well, actually, yes, and you've actually had an achievement out of the call.
And you've raised that issue, haven't you, really, around that, where it's not always about the sale. Sometimes it's about, like in mine, it's like, oh, it's been great talking to you. You know, would you like to stay in touch? You know, do you want me to, you know, send you a link to get onto my mailing list? It's not always about the sale, because there has to be, you know, we talk about know, like, and trust, don't we? Well, sometimes it's just starting that process. And I don't know how you feel about it, but somebody told me years ago, whenever you get a no, it's a no for right now. And that kind of just took the pressure off. Saying, oh yeah, I can have as many no's as I like because it's a no for right now. It could be a yes in the future. Because I think we do get hung up on that. It's got to be a yes, but actually it doesn't have to be a yes right now.
Yeah, I think that exactly that. But I think it's good to know what the no means or what the yes, it's following through that you actually have clarity as to exactly what you said. It's no for right now, or it's no, it's definitely no for me. But even if it's no for me, it might be yes for one of their friends down the road, or it might be they might know somebody, or the most you've done is you've actually educated them on what it is and raised the awareness of who
Yeah.
you are, what you can offer. So then if they're talking to somebody further down the line, they might go, actually, do you know that person? They might work well together. So it's always about putting your best self forward so that you present yourself in the best way possible. So that, yes, ideally you want the yes. If you get a no, no for just now, so you can get, so you have that follow through, or they know who you are so that they can actually think about you further down the line if they come across people. Because again, it follows through. People buy from people, buy from people. So,
Yeah.
it's
And actually, I love what you're saying there because it's about, do you know what? It's not always about this, it's not always about the sale in that moment, but also there is a wider context here that, it's like networking. We are, I always think to myself, I'm not selling to the people in the room. I want the people in the room to become my advocates. I want
exactly.
them to become my sales and marketing team. And if we can sort of step back from it being about the sale, that just makes you go, oh, so I'm just having a really nice conversation with someone and seeing what will come
Well,
out.
you've actually just brought us to a nice little bit as well, which is the fact that not everyone is going to end up being a customer. They may actually be your best advocate, but for whatever reason, they can be people who are out promoting you, but you may not do that much business with them per se because they don't actually buy that much of the product, but they actually could say, look, you know what, Lindsay would be ideal for you because I've got great experience of working with her through networking and she's actually someone who I really value as a friend and a colleague. So if you're treating it like a conversation, don't always treat them like they have to be a customer. They can be an ally, they can be a networking partner, they can be a sounding board. Sometimes you might go to someone to treat it like a conversation and see where it takes you. And therefore, you're not going to be disappointed because you'll always get something out of it. If even the fact that maybe the timing isn't right, but it might be right in 6 months' time. Have backup plans, but don't see it always as being, oh, I have to have an order, I have to have business. Relationships aren't like that, are they?
No, I really love that. And I think that's a great way for people to look at it. And I was just thinking, I've started to work with a client now who I met at a networking group probably about 2 years ago and has been on my mailing list that long and just went, no, no, now's the time. Because you just don't know, do you? And so I love this idea of just seeing it as a way of finding out more about one another and having that, not that expectation of a sale, but an expectation of something incredible anyway.
Yeah, well, actually, you were speaking to someone last week. What did they say? 7 times or something? You have.
Yeah, it was the touch point of seven. It can take, yeah, it takes 7 times. And I think there is an element of as well, but as you get more sophisticated, you get better at knowing where the conversation is going and
Yeah.
knowing whether, because there is an element of numbers game involved in this as well. So you can't spend all your time to having lovely conversations.
No.
So, so we're not suggesting that. We're suggesting obviously there needs to be purpose and reason for them. But again, for some people it's about getting started. So we sort of say start that way. And then obviously as you get used to it and you start getting the learnings, then you can start getting a bit cleverer. And that's where your process and your structures and your skills start to play a bigger game because obviously that's when. So, well, I think sometimes people get scared because it's a bit like, I always think it's like when you start to learn to drive a car, the first time you sit in a car, you go, oh my God, I drove around the car park and you're delighted with yourself because but you're looking at the Formula One, you're going, oh, how do they do it? So we're not suggesting you're a Formula One straight away. Let's, you have to build on your experiences and your knowledge and it's a skill. So be gentle with yourself as well.
Be kind.
Be kind, so don't run before you can walk as well.
And the more you do of it, you will get better. And some of it also is just about the other point we were definitely keen to get across is in every conversation with people, most times when you're doing your best, you're trying to find common ground. So if you're out having a chat with someone in the pub or in a coffee shop, you try to find common ground, even though you might have differences of opinion, or you might say, we supported Ireland, you support England in the rugby, and Ireland lose. Do you know what I mean? And that makes it harder the next time you meet because you have to eat humble pie because but it's finding the common ground, isn't it? And sometimes it's meeting in the middle or where you're prepared to go to. So in all conversations, you really have to take the action, take part in it, and then see how you get on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at my notes, and you beautifully brought us to number 3. How did we do that? It was so slick.
As if by magic.
I've just loved talking to you, and I think for me, what's coming out is, be kind to yourself, be gentle. It is about building your confidence. It is about getting good at, getting better at it. Not, I don't think we can go from not confident to super good straight away. There is that journey, and you talked about that actually, and given people lots of ways of doing that. But I love as well, it's a conversation. Don't get hung up on the yes. Love the no's because they're as valuable to you. And I guess we're telling people to just go out there and give it a go and try different things. And if you're not, if it's not working out, try something else, which kind of leads me to ask, if somebody's sat out there right now and going, do you know what? I've been doing this a while and it's still not quite sticking. I'm not getting something quite right. Where can they find you so they can talk to you?
Well, there's Rachel now, straight away. So the simplest way is to find our website, which is, I'll do it the old way, woodhazel.ie. And if you look, you'll see that myself and Rachel's face all over it. And this is what we love. We actually changed the way we were promoting ourselves. Previously we were quite corporate, and it was all wearing the tie or trying to look and very formal. Very formal. And the one thing we weren't being was ourselves, because actually that's not us.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing how other people's opinions sometimes they say, well, why don't you just try being yourselves? It helps, and so part of that was to say, yeah, we're comfortable if we have to do a corporate thing, but actually what we're passionate about and how we want to help people is you'll find us on LinkedIn or you'll find us on the website under our names, and it's that simple, and we have the conversation, we have the chat.
Yeah, we do a kind of a very informal discovery call, just to have a chat with people, just so they can see how we can work, because we do work one-to-one with people or small groups. So it really is all about, we meet people where they're at. So exactly what you were saying, if somebody's uncomfortable, we work, don't worry. That's the first thing we want to try and do, is get people feeling comfortable. And that's why that's very much our approach.
And you only need us when you need us. So we don't charge people just for being around. So in other words, if it's a small business and they are looking for help with regard to selling or marketing themselves and their business, well, then you pay us for what we do to help you. And that's we feel passionate about that. We actually love helping as many people as we can. So therefore, there's no need for us to feel permanently attached. We're there when they need us. And that's really what we're passionate about.
I love that. And of course, I'll make sure that all the links to the website and to you both on LinkedIn are available below this video. But you have shared some absolute golden nuggets today. And if anything, I think the fact that you are both so relaxed and just come across with such kindness, you just make selling sound like it's just a lovely thing to do. And I think that's where people need to start. It is a lovely thing to do.
And start with themselves first. The next thing, remember that if they do a lot of listening and find out what people want, try and find common ground, experiment, give it a go. But you were very, very correct to say, Lindsay, have a process of review to see what works and doesn't work. And a process means that you do look and see how you got on and how it was. It's not all about just going in and being nice and trying really hard. You do have to look at what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that can be done. You should prepare before each one. And at the end of it, say, oh, well, I went in there, I got an order, or I got another appointment, but review it. And it can be that small, but just write a little note and just say, right, that's where it's at. And that's a process. And that's a good way to start, isn't it?
I absolutely love it. You have made selling sound easy. You've made it sound more comfortable. You've made it sound like it's something that anyone and everyone can try. And actually, they're probably doing it already without even realizing.
Exactly.
That's exactly
That's it.
And it is all about do what works for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Be yourself.
That's a perfect way to end. Be yourself. Thank you both so much for joining me. It's been absolutely a fabulous conversation, as I knew it would be.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay. And
we've enjoyed it.
We've enjoyed it, and keep up the good work, because it's brilliant what you're doing, and we love having these chats, because that's what it is. But if we can help anyone, we look forward to doing so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.